Well, good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to Pottsgrove and call this first meeting of the 21-22 school year to order. And I'd like to, as I said, welcome everybody back to meetings in person with us. Glad to be here and glad to have you all back. So with that, we've been called to order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary will please note the roll. We have everybody in attendance except for Mr. Parker, who's with us on the phone. Executive session announcements. We've had a number of executive sessions since we've been away. We had a session on July 13th for personnel or potential litigation, and a meeting on August 5th and August 10th tonight for personnel-related matters. And that brings us to public comment. What's that? On agenda items, that's right. We have 2 requests so far for comment on these agenda items. And the order in which they were received is, you gonna try calling?
He just hung up.
Okay. Is Catherine Coppa of Upper Pottsgrove is first. Yes. You can stand there or come up to the table and at the microphone if you wish. Yeah, I'm sorry. Would you care to do the rule thing?
Yeah, so, Catherine, you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna set my timer as soon as you start speaking, okay? All right. And if you can state your name and your township, which we're doing, correct?
Yeah, township. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Catherine Copa, Upper Pottsgrove Township. Good evening to our Superintendent, Board of Directors. First, I would like to preface my remarks with an expression of appreciation for the work our district, teachers, staff, and Board of Directors has done throughout the pandemic. Secondly, Dr. Finnerty, welcome to the Pottsgrove family. I'm sure that tonight's health and safety plan required effort and iteration over the last several months and was also updated last week after Dr. Finnerty's initial communication to families outlining that masks are recommended. I know also that tonight's health and safety plan is up for a vote. I would like to speak specifically about masking, and I would like to see Pottsgrove School District remain a mask-optional environment for our children, leaving the decision as to whether or not children should be masked to their parents. Worth noting, in the absence of a state of emergency and/or a mask mandate in Pennsylvania, the school board may not have the legal authority to mandate universal masking of students. This was discussed during this past Friday's Senate Education Committee hearing, of which I will be happy to share a link with the school board if you've not seen it yet. Pennsylvania's Acting Secretary of Health, Allison Beam, stated during this hearing that there are no plans to impose a statewide masking mandate. It is no longer March 2020. We know a lot more about COVID than we did then. But here's what we do know. COVID does not, and never has, statistically speaking, had a meaningful health impact on our children. Numerous studies have shown that schools are not super spreaders. Schools across the country held in-person learning all last school year without any significant outbreaks. Despite all of this data, however, adults in power continue to suggest or even demand that our children continue to shoulder the burden of COVID-related health and safety measures. As a parent, I would like to say enough. I believe it is time to significantly ease the burden on these kids and place the health decisions of children back where they belong, in the hands of their parents. Last year, we did not have a vaccine. We now do. Since March or April of this year, every adult in Pennsylvania has the opportunity to get vaccinated. Fortunately, our teachers were placed on one of the earliest eligible groups to be vaccinated in Pennsylvania. My children have been in summer camp all along, without masks. Not only did not one person get sick, but I didn't get one notification from the camp of any incidents of COVID. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we have Mr. Andrew Corman.
Good evening, Board, and welcome Dr. Finnerty. Sorry for the mispronouncement. My name is Andy Corman, and we have been Upper Pottsgrove residents for 15 years. So I do have a rising junior. We just graduated our oldest child this past June. So I want to echo the thoughts of the previous parent and state that just a few items. One is that the emergency order has been lifted. And so today I want to speak for truth, health, and freedom. Turning the mask issue into a left-right battle will only devolve the conversation into a WWF match. There are no winners. Truth, health, and freedom are of utmost importance to the students, faculty, and staff of Pottsgrove School District. Instead, let's just focus on the ramifications of mask wearing in today's world. One, if you Google mask mouth, you'll find that dentists are seeing a 50% increase in oral health problems, including tooth decay, inflamed gums, bad breath, gum disease, and those are just a few of the items, not to mention shortness of breath, headaches. There are neighboring districts who have already voted to make masks optional for the 21-22 school year, and I encourage the Pottsgrove School Board to do the same for the health and safety and well-being of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. Let me give it to you into the record. Looks like not. Okay. All right. So those are the two that we have in hand at the moment. We do have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. So now I'll turn it over to you for the student representative report and so on down to the accounts for audit.
So item 4 is our student board representative report. We don't have a formal report, but we can take this opportunity to say hi to Senior Mac Bechtel. I'll turn it over to you to just say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to take this time and thank the board for having me back for another year, and I'm looking forward to having a great year with you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 5 is approval of monthly board action minutes from June 8th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, that
We
was
have a
quick.
motion. Yeah, that's going to happen. You're going to have to get used to that. We have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any questions on the minutes as presented? Mr. Parker, you're good? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. So ordered without objection.
I move that we accept the high school accounts, the middle school, and cafeteria accounts as presented.
So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second to receive the accounts for audit from the high school, middle school, and cafeteria accounts. Does anybody have any questions on these? No? Okay, so far that's going good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And all those opposed, say no. So ordered without objection.
I move that we approve the payments of the invoices in the amount of $3,938,098.12 for May 2021 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
So, I didn't see the May one, I just see the June one.
I think that's the wrong motion, Ms. Grimm.
Yeah, I think so.
You want June and July.
Oh, I only have May in here. I had the wrong one, sorry. I can't see the screen. I can't see it.
I'd like to make a motion that we pay the bills for June 21st in the amount of $7,727,745.87 as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the recommendation to pay the bills for June. That was June, right?
That was June.
Okay, we've got June. Very good. Does anybody have any questions on that, other than
Nope.
what day and what number? And
You got
No,
July?
I can finish off.
You
Okay.
got July?
No, I didn't get July, but I can just move that we approve the treasurer's report for June and July 2021 and present it and file it for audit.
Well, let's do the vote on the granting of orders first.
Oh,
so pay
okay.
bills, and then we'll come back to that. All right, so, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. June.
Was June and July?
Doing just June, July.
I don't think we should pay them in July.
Yeah, we don't want to pay bills.
Okay, finish that out. I can't see.
You can't see it? All right, I got it. Ms. Grimm has a little issue with her eyes. I'd like to make a motion. You got it? I'd like to make a motion to approve to pay the invoices in the amount of $4,428,627.12 for July as presented, and file it for account.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion from Ms. McIntyre, second from Mr. Lappick. All right, does anybody have any questions on that? Is this for July? Good.
Now, that was a team effort. Thank you.
Can you do the treasurer
Everything
report?
is.
No.
All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, got out of that little stumble. Let's get into the
All
treasurer's
right.
report.
And I'm going to do that's the granting of orders. I'm going to do the treasurer report 8.1. We'd like to make a recommendation to approve the treasurer's report for June and July 2021 as presented and file it for audit.
So moved.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Does anybody have any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. So ordered without objection.
And back to you. Yeah, piece of cake.
Item 9, report of the superintendent. I have a few informational items I'd like to share. The first day packet and welcome letter went out today, Tuesday, August 10th. This electronic packet can be accessed through PowerSchool. We're asking parents to have it completed by September 25th. The middle school and high school student schedules were released today, and the elementary assignments were mailed out yesterday, Monday, August 9th. Back to school and other planned events to date are listed on the district web calendar. Please look at the calendar. We encourage you to attend. I also have an item about a Pottsgrove alumnus who is having a special night this evening. Dustin Tavella, Pottsgrove alumnus, is on America's Got Talent on NBC at 8 p.m. He needs our vote to move on to the final round. We will be sharing that via social media, so we wish him the best and encourage everyone in the community to support his candidacy. Thank you. Item 10, action items personnel.
I'd like to make a motion to line 10.1 to 10.4, then 10.6 to 10.16.
Second.
1 to 4,
All but 10.5.
thank you. Let me just- Oh, okay.
I need a second.
Okay. We have a motion and 3 seconds, if you wish. Patty Griffin. On that. Does anybody have any question on that motion? Hearing
I have a
none.
question on
Go ahead.
10.14.
Point 14.
David Ramage. Dr. Ramage.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Parker.
So just a question regarding the district lead teacher of technology. There's a request to increase the compensation. I mean, the last year and a half are hard to judge by, but in a quote normal year, is there anybody there that can explain what all the district lead teacher of technology does?
This is Tony's job.
No, so there are building lead technology teachers at each of the buildings, and then there is a district lead technology teacher. And these teachers function in the role to support other teachers at the building level, assisting the technology department.
Okay, do we know why there's a request for an increase?
So the request is a result of the supplemental committee that has representatives from the Teachers Association, Mr. Ansbach, Mr. Dorenzo, Ms. Brilla, and they met in early June to discuss how these supplementals are paid out and which Supplementals should be deleted and added, and overall, there was a total deletion of 2,125 with a total addition of the 1,335, and that's what the district lead teacher of technology addition looks like.
Yeah, all right, that, unfortunately, doesn't answer my question, but I understand it's all the information you have. My no vote will represent a no to 10.14, not anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Does anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay,
Can we get a motion and a second?
yes.
Yeah,
Earlier on.
yeah, I was the second.
Yeah.
I think if I'm correct, Mr. Parker only wanted to vote no on
10-14.
That right. Okay, so coming back to 10.
Bob, if I could just say something real quick. I
Please.
see that we're going to be losing Lori, and I'd just like to thank her for her hard time and her dedication to the school district. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're,
And if I can just say,
Please.
Joyce Tithopoulos is resigning, or is retiring, sorry, misspoke. And I
That's
just want to
next.
say,
We didn't do that one
oh,
yet.
we didn't do that. Then
No,
why did
I left that out on purpose.
I know, but didn't Bill
I
just
left her
talk
out on
about
purpose.
10.14?
we did before 10.5 and after 10.5, left 10.5.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to get 10.1.
Yeah, I left her out on purpose so we can.
That's okay, that's all right.
Set a separate number at the very beginning of the very
All right, I'm good now.
All right, so, we have that motion.
Now we are in 10.5.
Thank you very much.
Professional staff retirement. Recommendation is to approve professional staff retirements as presented.
Second.
Okay, so now would be the time for comments. Mrs. Gusher?
Mrs. S., as everyone has always called her, was a wonderful, caring teacher. Both of my kids had her. She was actually my son's in-home tutor when he was out for his surgeries. And she's just a really good teacher, and we're going to miss her.
Okay,
Yeah, I like to wish her good luck. She had my son who graduated in 2006. But she was just wonderful, so kind to the students, so passionate. So Joy, we just wish you the very best.
We did.
does anybody else have any comments they wish to make? No, I would echo that. Mrs. Tithopoulos was just tremendous. I think all of my kids went through, and you know, it's one of those things, we get used to it in the military where you have what they call hail and farewells, you know, and you welcome the newest folks in and say goodbye to the folks who are leaving. And it's always kind of bittersweet because you've worked with these people, you've enjoyed their company, you've enjoyed being with them, you've enjoyed having them as part of the family, and now they're moving on to something else. And it's kind of a tough thing, but there's going to be new folks coming along, and we appreciate all the things that have happened, not only from Mrs. S., but all the other folks who are retiring and looking for greener pastures. So thank you and for everything that you've done, and we'll miss you. So with that, nobody else, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. All right, very well. I'll do item 11.
Item 11, action items business. 11.1, Montgomery County Office of Drug and Alcohol and Mental Health Letter of Agreement. The administration recommends approval of the letter of agreement between Creative Health Services and Pottsgrove School District for the provision of student assistant programming for the 2021-2022 school year.
I'd like to make a motion to combine 11.1 through 11.5, skip 11.6, pull it out. We'll talk about that obviously as a whole, and 11.7 for this motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions on those items?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. So ordered without objection. Now let's talk about the boiler.
Item 11.6, high school boiler project. We are recommending the approval of a revised proposal from Fry Lutz in the amount of $538,000.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Mrs. Custer and a second from Al, Mr. Leach, for this. So do we have any questions on the high school boiler project change order?
Mr. Linky, could you sort of explain this to our public as in to understand why we're spending so much on this particular item?
Not a problem. When the high school was under renovation, when they completed, we found out that the HVAC system was not able to maintain temperature for heating and/or cooling. And Mr. Nestor and prior administration have reached out to Fox Rothschild to see what we can do to correct the situation. So it seems like the boilers were undersized for the project by Moore Engineering. At the June 8th board meeting, I believe, we settled to receive $490,000 from Moore Engineering's insurance company for the failure of the heating and cooling of the system. So when Fry Lutz proposed the solution to fix the issue, when they issued the proposal, they used the prevailing wages as of 2014 when the high school was under renovation. The prevailing wages that should have been used were the current ones in 2021. Because of this, this added at about $40,000 more to the cost of the project. With assistance with Brian Subers at Fox Rothschild, we've negotiated that Fry Lutz would absorb half the cost of the increase in the cost, and the district would eat the other half. And that's where we're at today.
Thank you.
That's a good summary, and the takeaway is that, I'm sorry, that's an excellent summary of what happened, and the bottom line takeaway is that virtually the whole cost, not quite all of it, is going to be coming back to the district based on the June settlement with the architect and the original installer. So the district is getting compensated for about, I guess, almost 90-some% of that, isn't it, Ron? Yeah.
Right.
That's what I wanted to make sure the public understood. We weren't paying $500 and some thousand.
Not a problem.
Okay. Very good. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. So ordered without objection.
Item 12, action items, education. Item 12.1, the 2021-2022 Health and Safety Plan. Recommended action is to approve the 2021-2022 Health and Safety Plan. I want to note for the record there is a change in one phrase on page 3 of the plan. The plan originally read, the federal order issued in January 2021 requires all individuals, regardless of vaccination status, must wear a face coverings when on school buses. To reflect the actual language of the federal order, that should read, must wear face masks, not face coverings, when riding school buses. So our recommendation is to approve that safety plan as amended. The documents in board docs are the corrected one. The document on the website is the corrected one.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on the health and safety plan, the revised health and safety plan?
Just for the public's perception, if you could explain the whole idea of what we're asking for in masks.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Mr. Vores up to the podium he was instrumental in drafting this, and his leadership in this plan was instrumental, so I'd like him to kind of walk us through it, and together we can answer any questions you have.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everybody in person again. So as Dr. Finnerty said, what we wanted to do tonight is provide for you a summary of the information that we used in the development of this plan, as well as a summary of the plan itself. So all of our planning right now is focused on having students back in school 5 days a week for in-person instruction, unless, of course, an emergency declaration at some point in time would not allow us to do that. All guidance that we've received to date really reflects that same language, keeping students in school as much as we possibly can. This year, there is less emphasis on cleaning protocols. However, Mr. Cardwell and his team are continuing with cleaning protocols as suggested by the CDC. But again, less emphasis is really on that cleaning protocol piece. There does continue to be heavy emphasis on both social distancing as well as face masking in terms of what that looks like. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second here. It's important to note that all school districts across the state were provided with the same template, and that template really required districts to answer 3 questions. It's not dissimilar from what occurred last year in that we were all provided with a standard template. The big difference this year is we're not dealing with a 65-plus page document, we're dealing with a 5-page document. And really, that's done intentionally to ensure that our staff and our students remain healthy, but also allows us as a district to have flexibility in terms of implementing the plan and again, keep kids in school to the greatest extent possible. As we began putting our guidelines together, we really started with the face masking piece. We are using language directly from the Montgomery County Office of Public Health as well as the CDC. And that language reads, the district recommends universal indoor masking for teachers, staff, students, and visitors to school, regardless of vaccination status and school district level of community transmission. Again, per Dr. Finity's amendment that you heard him make on that particular plan, and it reflecting the actual language of the federal order, all individuals on a school bus, because it is public transportation, are required to wear a face mask. The district will maintain 3 feet to the greatest extent possible in all of our instructional settings. Non-essential visitors, volunteers, activities, other organizations will be limited during school hours, and that's an important note there, during school hours. However, for any district contracted services, meaning anything that we're hiring an individual to come in and provide direct service to the school or students, those individuals will be provided or granted access to our building. Anybody else essentially would need either not be allowed during school hours or would need to seek special permission. Another important piece this year, and this is a change in terms of some of the guidance that we were dealing with last year, and that's specific to quarantining and isolating. Fully vaccinated individuals who are asymptomatic and are deemed a close contact to a COVID-19 individual will not be required to quarantine. So again, a fully vaccinated individual, even though I might be sitting next to a person who is a COVID-19 positive individual, because I'm fully vaccinated, I'm not necessarily considered, I will not be required to quarantine unless otherwise directed to do so. The other piece with regard to isolation really talks about if both a COVID-19 individual and an unvaccinated individual who was exposed to COVID-19 were wearing masks and practicing social distancing of at least 3 feet or more, the exposed individual will not be identified as a close contact. And again, all of that, we always wait for guidance and work in close partnership with the Montgomery County Office of Health to make sure that if there's any thing that dictates a revision to that, of course, we would do so. Prior to this evening, we did put all this information, the plan in its entirety, on the website. We also authored a frequently asked questions, and that was really created from many of the questions that we either heard from the public, we heard from our teachers, we may have even heard from you. And we ask you to continue those questions coming and ask the public to continue with those questions. And that FAQ document that is on our website will be updated regularly to reflect answers to those questions. So again, wanted to provide a summary to the document and the health plan itself, but I'll also allow time for any questions that you might have.
All right, so the first question I have is, what is the district's plan for our students that if they do have COVID and are sent home, what will be the plan to move them to a virtual or whatever is necessary to stay up with their schooling?
So we've had various conversations about that. At this point in time, we are not looking at a live stream. That's the conversation we've had with our teachers. So a difference from last year is that if that were to happen, I could immediately flick on Zoom and attend everything via live stream. We are not planning for that this year, and the reason for that is quite intentional. Live streaming, although very convenient, does require all sorts of planning and preparation and has ramifications for good quality instruction in terms of what that looks like. Like many Montgomery County districts, we are not in fact offering that live stream. So in answer to your question, Mr. Leach, what are we doing in order to support? One of the things that we're looking at is after-school opportunities. So essentially, it's looking at an extended school day for even any of our students as part of our learning loss efforts, but also making sure that we have connections with students occurring during that point in time. That being said, if we'd get to a point and we'd have large numbers of students that we would have to reconsider or pivot, of course we're going to pivot and do so at that point in time.
I think it would also be fair to note that with vaccination and with masking, the identification of close contacts is going to be different than this year. There's opportunity through vaccination. If you were vaccinated and asymptomatic, you wouldn't be forced to, you wouldn't be included in the quarantine. And if both students are masked and one is COVID positive and you are masked and that student is masked, then you again would not be, and you maintain at least 3 feet, you would not be identified as close contact. So through those two changes to the exclusion practices of last year, we anticipate having to quarantine fewer students.
Next question I had is, what is the district's plan for testing our teachers and employees in regards to weekly, monthly, whatever it may be on testing?
So in our conversations with, I meet on a weekly basis with the other superintendents in Montgomery County and also with Montgomery County Office of Public Health, and often, in fact, almost every time, CHOP, people from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia are also present. At this time, the assurance testing that we did last year is not recommended. So that would be testing of asymptomatic people just on a regular basis. That is not the current recommendation. What we are looking at doing is testing students and staff that are voluntarily, that are symptomatic. So if we have a student at school come down or exhibit symptoms of COVID, we could, with parents' permission, actually do a rapid test right there and give the parent that information quicker than having to go to their doctor to get it. So that's the program that we're looking to bring into the district. Where they are with planning these, this is a new program. In some ways, it's a new program from Montgomery County Public Health, and it would be slightly different from what we did last year, but that's what we're looking to do.
Next question is going to be, I'm going to try to word this correctly. I am all for choice, absolutely all for choice, but I know a lot of people in the public are going to ask whether or not we are going to mandate vaccination to our staff and our teachers. What will be our recommendation, and is it possible to have the administration look into what is necessary to make sure that everybody is safe?
Al, what I'd suggest is, as you can imagine, I've spent some time with it, some of my colleagues have made themselves expert, and I would suggest that we'll get a short memo out to you and the administration as to what your choices are. Try to make it a little bit of a cafeteria style, you can do this, you can't do this. You can ask people to be, are they vaccinated, whether you can require what that requires with the collective bargaining unit. So why don't we get hopefully a succinct memo out to you as to the smorgasbord of choices you have.
Perfect, thank you. That's it for me.
Last year, we saw much change to the county's determinations and their guidelines. And from what I'm understanding of the current health and safety plan as presented, is that we're kind of mirroring yet again. So is there a provision in this that if they were to come back and say, because at one point they were saying that masking was not going to be universal, and then they switched up. And we saw that happen last year throughout. Is there provision in this that if they go back again and say, you know what, we're not going to mandate indoor for everybody, do we have that ability to then walk that back? Or is this kind of the plan from the get-go?
As you recall, last year, there were multiple iterations of our health and safety plan. You approved quite a few of them throughout the year. The same is true of this plan. This plan actually remains in effect for up until September 30th of 2024. But during that time, we are required to regularly update it if any guidance changes. So if we receive additional guidance that reflects or requires us to pivot based upon what's already written in our plan, we are at liberty to do that. We would just have it as an agenda item at a board meeting.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Parker, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, very good. All right then. Hearing no other questions, all those in favor of the revised health and safety plan signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, very good. Got that?
Item 12.2, conference attendance, leader actions for continuous school improvement. We're looking for approval of conference attendance items as submitted.
I'd like to combine 12.2 and 12.3.
Motion and a second to combine 12.2 and 12.3. Does anybody have any questions on these two conference attendances? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. So ordered without objection.
Item 13, action items, policies. Item 13.1, approval of policies. Recommended action, accept the policies as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the three policies, or three? Oh, it's three. Two policies noted. Does anybody have any questions on these two? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. So ordered without objection.
The next one.
For the JOC report, we met last night, and the projected enrollment is approximately 625 students. We have 157 students at Pottsgrove, 233 from Springford, and 237 from Upper Perk. Of course, remember, these numbers will change when all the kids are finally making their changes, as this is their commitment. This is one of the biggest numbers we've had at the Western Center. School starts on August 23rd, and we also approved last night the health and safety plan. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Item 15, committee items. 15.1, policy committee meeting, May 25th, 2021. Need a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on May 25th, 2021 as submitted.
I'd like to combine 15.1 and 15.2 for both meetings.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the two policy committee meetings from May. Does anybody have any questions on these? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. So ordered without objection. And now we come to new business. I almost don't know what to do without Dr. Shirk here, always providing us 3 or 4. So we'll see what your
Don't feel challenged.
don't take that up. Don't take that as an offer.
I have no suggestions for new business, but I would, if it's okay, I would like to just acknowledge, as I missed during the appropriate action time, I missed the chance to thank and acknowledge Lori Bickert for her tremendous support during the transition and her tremendous support in this first month. And I very much appreciate that, and I will miss you. So thank you. No other new business.
That is a good start. Keep that up. Okay, so now we'll look around and see if anybody else has any new business. Mr. Leach?
It's not new business, it's more of a comment, but we call it. Back on the items of personnel, I approved everything because I know a lot of people want maybe to make more discussion when it comes to the health and safety plan, which is probably why everybody's here and such like that. But although I glanced over it and approved all of them all in one shot, I would be remiss if I didn't want to say, welcome to our district for all the people that are on that list. We have a new middle school principal, we have a new HR, we have new systems engineers, we have new teachers, we have a whole bunch of new people coming to the district, and it is really awesome to see everybody coming in. And I want to congratulate every single one of them that has come to our district. So thank you very much. That's it for me? No. One more thing.
All right, one more thing.
Welcome Dr. Finnerty. It's his first meeting.
I have a couple of thoughts.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Parker.
Sorry, it's hard when we're not eye to eye to know when to jump in here. So number one, I echo Al's comments. Just to add to that, we heard Dr. Finnerty's initial draft of his goals the other night, and I want to say publicly, his passion is amazing, and his insight and willingness to step up and really dig in and give his thoughts. I was super impressed and feel so great for our district to have him there. So thank you, Dr. Finnerty. Second question on why, after doing for over a year with Zoom, we did not do Zoom tonight. We kept a lot of people from the community that are unable to be in from being able to comment publicly. Pre-COVID, this Zoom wasn't an option. But now it is an option. It's a very simple setup, and wondering why we're keeping those people out from commenting, and would ask that in the future meetings we allow the community to participate when not able to attend in person.
Okay, thank you for your comment on that. What else do you have?
That's it. Just those two things. Bob, can you answer why we didn't offer Zoom?
Because we're here. We're here in the room. So anybody who wants to speak can speak in the room. As you recall, when we tried to do with the Zoom, having several of us in the room, there was a feedback issue, there was a lag issue, there was a problem as to whose microphone was on, whose wasn't, and it presented great technical difficulties. It's not insurmountable, but it was just inconvenient and not simple. And we really like to think that our people who want to comment can be here. Now, we can possibly accommodate that by offering written comments be submitted to the board in advance of the board meeting that would then be submitted into the record for the official record. But I like to see people. I'm happy to be back here in person, and I think we ought to continue that.
If I can comment on that, that's great. I agree. I love having people here, but we also have a lot of people that work in the evenings or have small children or they're first responders that would be here if they could, but they can't, but they could be through Zoom, which the Zoom was, yes, all the problems you mentioned are valid, but it would be nice if we could try to come up with some way, whether it be through email or some other comment section, but where there were really questions, I should say, where people can actually ask questions during the meeting as opposed to, or during public comment, as opposed to the Facebook-like comments we had during Zoom. But we do have a lot of people that would like to, but they can't because of real viable limitations. So it's not just a matter of the lack of desire to be here, it's the lack of the ability because of their life. So I would like us to be able to find some way that they can communicate with us.
All right. I think we can accommodate that. We can talk about that as a board and come up with a solution there that I think will accommodate, will.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the solution is. Maybe our tech department can, there's a lot of changes out there.
Again, and I'm not telling you how you should do your business, what I'm seeing a lot of at boards is what Bob suggested, which is they're able to comment as you suggested, a chat room up till, the time of the meeting, and then somebody summarizes the comments and they append it to the minutes, so they're of the record, as you will.
And that would work for the agenda items, but then there's also the ones at the end, which are open-ended,
Well, again,
where they want to.
They can ask questions.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that would have to be a.
But we don't answer questions anyhow, let me remind the public, and it's not a refutation of what you're saying at all, Jim, just to remind people that the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law refers to, we all call it public comment, and I call it that, and that's what I think of it as, but really, what the law says, it's public testimony. And I just want to remind the public, and again, I'm not suggesting you not facilitate, that it's not a Q&A, it's not a debate, it's simply an ability for the public to have their input with the board. And so it seems to me, as long as you don't have to, but as long as you take that comment in some way electronically, you've accommodated the statute and the purpose of it, which is so the public can be heard. It's not, and we don't do it here. Some places do certainly, but, we don't get into Q&A. We take it as public comment, and the reason why we take public comment on agenda items first is so the board can have your input and know what the public is thinking. So again, I would that maybe I don't want to interfere, maybe Dr. Finnerty and his people try to figure out, his IT people, what can be done. I know he mentioned to me in passing, and I don't want to represent, I think it's a problem. Streaming might be an alternative. Doesn't give you an opportunity to comment, but it gives you an opportunity to view the meeting.
We are in fact streaming tonight.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are live.
Okay.
As well as PCTV. So we've got that going on. So you've got that on the computer, and you've got it on the television, so that's, people can see it. So nobody's being shut out of anything.
No, but they
But
share
in
the
terms
comment,
of,
but some way to facilitate so they can, even after the event, be able to send in, because they're not looking just to communicate to us, it's also to be able to share with the rest of the community. So it'd be nice if we could, like I said, facilitate that some way. I don't know the best answer for that. I just, as a new business item to consider down the, next few weeks.
In a somewhat related comment, I have sent out my first blog post, if you will, and I will continue to do that and communicate directly with the public. And I did receive about 15 or 20 emails back, and I responded to those emails. 3,000 emails? I don't know. But I do like that. I do like communicating in that manner, and so that is another avenue.
I mean, maybe like an online form, similar to our hard copy form, that the public comes in and fills out here, and say, ahead of the meeting, say, submit this by 10 p.m. the night prior. We have time to digest that and take that in, and then obviously just keep that an open-ended thing so that people can be heard in that way and we can keep that order of business.
I just don't want to exclude the public.
Sure, same.
Which I know we're not trying to, just,
No.
Sometimes our actions end up doing that by accident, so.
Yeah, but there are ways to do it.
very good. So we'll take that under advisement, Mr. Parker, and look, see if we can't find some way to do that accommodation that we'll then talk to as a board and implement as part of our policy. All right, does anybody else have anything for new business for this evening? Please.
I just want to, as we're getting started with everything, all the new year, I give it to all of our volunteers. We have our PTOs, we have our booster club, the music league. They're doing all kinds of fundraisers. The football team had a car wash. It's just so nice to see us back on a roll. There's so many different activities going on now. So I just want to wish them good luck and keep us posted so we can attend them. But I thank everybody for volunteering. It's very important.
Thank you. All right, I think that's the end of our new business for this evening. And that'll take us to public comment. So I have one request here from, and it looks like Scheller, Wade Scheller. Ready?
No, just push it down.
I'm Wade Chalice. I live in West. I heard what you said earlier about this not being a Q&A and more of a public comment, but I do have a question nevertheless. It's a straightforward question. It's yes or no. I'd really like an answer if I can get it. I've made a few phone calls and I haven't been able to get an answer to this question. It's really simple. Does Pottsgrove teach critical race theory at any level, K through 12?
Go ahead.
No, no district teaches, that I'm aware of, teaches critical race theory.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now, I don't have any other comments or questions. Anybody else?
Thank you. John Rossi, Lower Pottsgrove. A couple of questions I have, caught my ear when we were talking about the health and safety plan. You had mentioned about the possibility of in-school staff possibly being able to administer the COVID test. Who would do that? School nurses? How many do we have? And if they are assigned to do that, are they qualified to do that? I mean, these are things people are going to be looking for, because you said it, with the parents' permission, they could do that. I heard that part. And second, the issue with the Zoom. When we were shut down, board meetings were on Zoom, kids were learning on Zoom, on the computer with their classes. Now all of a sudden we're back here, and Zoom's not going to happen for the board meetings for those people who can't be here? Because I know if tomorrow Governor Wolf says, which I hope he doesn't, schools are shut down. Boy, I bet you Zoom comes right back real quick. So we got to figure it out. We have to have a way to let the people who cannot get out of the house, whether they're homebound, whether, like you said, they're first responders, medical people, work nighttime, we gotta let them in on I know it's live tonight, it's on YouTube, but they can't say anything, okay? We have to have that with our community to go forward. We don't have that, then that's a big issue, I think, going forward, because we've been doing it for how long? Now, all of a sudden, the first meeting we're back live, we can't do it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay. I don't think there's any other folks out there with their hands raised. So, motion for adjournment would be in order. We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion is adjourned. Thank you.